What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA show. Holy smokes. Western says he is here. We may begin. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, we got a doozy of a show today. I'm very curious to see if Tehran is here because last week Tehran was talking about how he's kind of getting a little bored of MMA. He might not be watching it in the near future. He might be abandoning us and leaving us. But I'm very curious to know what Tehran's thinking now because the landscape has gotten crazy. Listen to all that's happening. We got Arman Tsarukyan and all these other fighters, Colby Covington, all these guys doing crazy side quests. We got the White House card about to happen. We got Khamzat versus Sean Strickland. We got the MVP card happening. We got Ronda Rousey returning. We got Francis Ngannou returning. Now, as of today, we're going to talk about this later in detail. We got Nate Diaz returning to fight Mike Perry. I mean, there are so many moving pieces and moving parts to the entire landscape of combat sports. Man, I got to believe, Tehran, if you're out there or if you rewind this later and you can comment, I got to believe you're engaged at this point because there are battles at the management level, at the corporate level between boxing and UFC and all these other things. It's just absolutely crazy. So to me, we got a ton to talk about. And Justin, I know you also made a breakdown video this weekend of Yuri Prohaska versus Carlos Ulberg. So we're going to have that up on the channel later this week, which is really, really cool. I wanted to talk about that, but I just felt like we have a million other things to get to. So it is what it is. Before we start, I want to show one thing. Oh, by the way, we got a couple more comments. Alex Pereira is going to slime out Cyril Gane. Let's hope, dog. Let's hope. That's so much more of a fun outcome than if Cyril Gane wins, even though I love Cyril Gane. And then we actually, no. Let me back up. If Cyril wins, it's not that bad because we get a rematch of Cyril versus Tom Aspinall. But it'd be really fun if Alex Pereira wins. Mr. Clapper says MVP card looking very good, very good. I don't know. It's in LA. I might even be thinking about going, but yeah. And then Western chimes in agrees. All right, Justin, I got a comment for you because right now your video on Sean Strickland versus Khamzat is starting to take off and it's getting a lot of views, a lot of good comments. But one of the comments in particular, because Justin basically is essentially, and tell me if I'm mischaracterizing it, but you're more or less picking Sean Strickland because you have a feeling he's going to win. You believe he's got the wrestling skills to actually combat Khamzat. And you believe, like DDP, that he's going to make it a very difficult fight for Khamzat. So somebody asked, this is Makumba3906 says, would you take responsibility for me betting my house on Strickland? That's the question.
I mean, that's a stupid question. Like, yeah. I mean, he's obviously an underdog. I mean, but there is methods to victory. There is routes to victory. Am I saying that? Oh, he's 100%. Of course not. That I'm saying that.
Right.
I mean, he's probably the underdog. But guess what? Like, when you play poker, if you get aces, and your head's up, it's still 80%. You still lose. That the aces could still lose in this situation. And I feel Sean Strickland has the tools to do it. When you have DDP, like they're like, oh, he took DDP down. He had 22 minutes control time. Blah blah blah. DDP has weird blitzing techniques. Sean doesn't blitz. Sean just kind of inches forward. It's a lot harder to take somebody down. Again, am I swearing up and down that there's no chance he's going to get taken down? Of course he could get taken down. And he might get taken down. He might get finished in the first round. I just have a gut feeling that the tools that Sean has and the things he's good at is going to present problems for Khamzat. I don't think Khamzat's going to be able to take him down with his first shot. I think Khamzat's going to shoot a double leg. Sean's going to defend. Khamzat's going to put him up into the fence, and then we're going to see if his chain wrestling is good enough to take Sean down. But he's not taking Sean down with just a double leg. I just don't see that happening. He's going to have to chain 2-3 shots together, double, single, snap, pop, 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 reshot. Like it's just I just have a feeling. And when you watch Sean train and you see the things he's good at, when guys run at you like DDP does, throwing crazy hands, all you have to do is change your level, shoot, and there's like a train wreck collision of you guys running into each other, and you're hitting them at the hip, so they're folding over and they're easier to take down. Or with DDP backing up, Khamzat could get DDP backing up. He was able to take him off and backing up. Sean's not going to back up. Sean's going to work distance management. He's going to play off his back foot. He's going to be showing that teep kick a lot. He's going to be showing his rear knee a lot. And it's not impossible. Sean can win this fight.
Sure. No, and 100%. I just thought that was a funny comment to share to you. And Western says, hey, don't ask stupid questions of Justin. Fair enough. I rescind that question now in retrospect.
I bet my whole purse, I bet my whole savings account on myself when I was a 2-1 underdog. Like I was plus 210 and I bet $20,000 on myself. Like, no, of course I'm not supposed to win that fight, but I just had a gut feeling. And Fortunately, it didn't work out for me, but I think this one's going to work out for Sean.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what Hamzat did against Robert Whittaker, was chain wrestling, because it wasn't a double leg. He grabbed his foot and then he worked his way and got to his back. And yeah, so you're anticipating something like that. Very, very cool. By the way, Western says, I love what I'm hearing. Let's go. Okay, but guys.
I wish we had like 40 viewers, though.
What's that?
I wish we had like 40 concurrent right now. And
that would be very nice. Let's see if we can get there throughout the duration of the show. Let's go, people. All right. Now, we got a lot to talk about, a lot of things to go over. Even Eric Nixick, as we speak, or actually the interview's over, but I haven't heard the full thing, but I heard part of his interview on Ariel's show. Is very, very cool that he's talking about the reuniting with Sean Strickland, how just after a few weeks, they were kind of back to normal and they were good to go. And it was basically understood that Nixick was going to be coaching Strickland. So that's cool to hear. Nixick will be in his corner, but this is weird, man. We got our first topic. The most pressing topic has nothing to do with the UFC. It's the announcement that was dropped this morning. This is part of the reason why we have the show every Monday, because there's always like seems to be big news that's dropped on Monday, but this is like pretty massive news. And I just want to say, I said from the get-go, remember, Justin, I told you, I don't think the UFC is even considering putting Nate Diaz back in the UFC because, and people can call me crazy, but I thought from the get-go, because he fought Jake Paul and he lost to Jake Paul, the UFC wants nothing to do with Nate Diaz going forward. That's what I thought. Look, things could change, obviously, at any point, but that's what I felt. And it looks like Nate Diaz, despite wanting to be back at the UFC and wanting to do all these things, he has signed on to fight Mike Perry on Netflix. And this is that's pretty damn good matchmaking. Two guys out of their UFC contracts, both guys for different reasons are huge stars right now. The trash talk is going to be amazing. And dude, I don't want to see Nate Diaz box anymore. It's not interesting to me. Having him come back and return to mixed martial arts, where he's got an amazing ground game, amazing jiu-jitsu, and his striking is so much better in MMA. This is so lit to me. And I know it's not the Conor Nate Diaz fight that you've been pining for, that you wanted so badly. But Justin, let me take it over to you immediately to get your reaction. This is the featured fight on the card. Take it away.
I mean, if you didn't see, I just made a video about this, man. This is super exciting, man. We got two crazy guys. And although Nate Diaz is known for his grappling, his wrestling, he has like 20 submission finishes on his resume. I just did it. Like I said, I just did a video about this, but he doesn't look for those submissions. It's not like he's shooting in, fishing for submissions all the time. A lot of times he's wearing out his opponent. If you remember Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor, he got the submission win, but it was from his striking. Nate Diaz and Mike Perry are going to meet in the middle of the ring, and they're going to bang, and they're going to make each other bleed. Like, we're talking about the king of violence, Mike Perry. I think he's undefeated in bare knuckle.
Yeah, he is.
This guy is the epitome of a brawler. When someone says a brawler, you think Lorenzo Hunt and Mike Perry. The only reason I put Mike Perry behind Lorenzo Hunt is because he's a little smaller. But Nate Diaz has, his slick boxing where he's going to try to, stay at range, keep Mike Perry at range and not get hit by those big hooks. And someone's getting knocked out in this fight. Someone's going to bleed and someone's getting knocked out. I hate that it's the featured fight. There's no reason that this should be the main event for sure.
This should be the main event because, look, I know there's so many Ronda Rousey fans and Gina Carano fans, and Gina Carano did stuff in Hollywood. And
wait.
But yeah,
you just said there's so many Gina Carano fans, and no shot at Gina Carano. You ask a guy that's been watching MMA for 5 years, they've never heard of Gina Carano.
5 years, you're right, for the last 5 years, but she's OG in MMA, and then she went on
since 2007.
Yeah, I know.
She's a pioneer of the sport of the women MMA, especially. Absolutely, yeah. But the fight has no weight to it. The fight should have happened 10 years ago. Like, this is like Mike Tyson fighting that one other guy. Who's the first guy when he was like 8 years old? I know Western knows.
I know what you're talking about. The
Jones Jr. or something.
Man,
Roy Jones. Was it Roy Jones?
Roy Jones Jr. That's it.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I think.
That's how I feel about it. And it's gonna. I mean, dude, let's do it. Yeah, let's do the Rousey. Let's make it a dance move. Let's do the Rousey. Dude, it's fucking embarrassing, dude. Let Mike Perry and Nate Diaz get in there, get those main events points. Let's make that money, because I'll be honest, I'm willing to bet, and I don't know if we'll be able to find. I bet they'll have an article about it. The Sunday after, or is it a Saturday event?
I believe so.
Sunday after, there's going to be a report on how many people tuned off after the Mike Perry Nate Diaz card. There's going to be a report on that, and it's going to be big. I think it's going to be 1/3.
I'm not saying they're going to immediately tune out. Well, here's what I think is going to happen.
Or they'll leave it on in the background.
Well, I think they're going to watch, but I think what's going to happen is we're going to see, and I see the comments, guys. I'm going to read them off in 1 second. What's going to happen is the fight's going to start, and I think it's going to be really bad. Like I think a lot of MMA fans who really watch the sport and know just a thing or two about technique, we're going to see really bad technique and really sloppy fighting. And I don't think, and we're not going to get a finish. It's going to go to decision. It's going to be weird. Now, I could be wrong. There is a chance.
I think there's going to be a finish.
You do?
I think Ronda's going to armbar Gina Carano.
Okay. If we do get a finish, that would, even if it's terrible technique, the finish would actually make, it would really change things, because if we get a finish, people love Ronda Rousey, they'll be going crazy. But yeah, I think ultimately the fight will be kind of lame unless Ronda just like goes in there and steamrolls her and arm bars her, and like that'll be actually exciting, because then if they're both kind of equally at that level, it'll look somewhat exciting to most people, not to you and not to extreme couture people and stuff like that. But I think that could be the saving grace. That then I recant that. But what I was initially thinking was, man, people are going to be all hyped up, and it's a bit of a mistake. I mean, I get they have to do it. Ronda Rousey's a legend, so they have to put her at the main card, I guess. But I think it's going to be, that main event is going to be really, really deflating. But we'll see. If we get a crazy finish, that could be interesting. But this fight is so sick. You're right. This absolutely could, and in a lot of ways should be, the main event. Nate Diaz right now, as much of an OG as Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano are and how much they've done for the sport, Nate Diaz is the biggest star right now on this card, bar none. Even bigger than Francis, bigger than anybody. And people can't wait to see. And dude, think how long, when's the last time he fought in MMA? That was when he beat Tony Ferguson. That was how long ago?
I don't even know.
It was his retirement fight. He was going to fight Hamzat, and then they switched it out. That was so long ago, dude. That was when Hamzat was still at welterweight. So this will be an absolutely amazing fight. When has Nate Diaz not been in a great fight? It's going to be incredible. Mike Perry, it's the perfect pairing. Now, just a quick, go ahead.
The press conference.
It's gonna be so good.
Oh my god! I'm excited. I'm so excited for this. I don't care about there's no UFC title on it. There's no UFC belt on it. Like,
oh yeah, you don't need it.
These guys can fight in the backyard, and I'm tuning in.
You don't need it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Paul creates some sort of something to give to these guys. All right, but let's read through the comments here. Weston says MVP is going to be a huge problem for the UFC. All right. I want to actually talk about this, because this is what another part of this theater that is very interesting. We finally have a real viable competitor. I mean, GFL tried to pull something like this up, but they didn't have the money. They didn't have the bandwidth. They didn't have a TV deal. Now you got a partnership with Netflix, not just a TV deal, not just a broadcast deal, the biggest, best broadcast deal possible. 325 million subscribers on Netflix. This is a massive audience. They're going to get huge numbers. Now, Ariel said on the show earlier today, it's very interesting. He's obviously part of the promotion. He's going to be doing a lot of the interviews and stuff. But he said this is not a replacement for the UFC. And I agree, at least as of now, because the difference between the UFC and MVP, at least as of now, is the UFC is spending a lot of money to invest into up-and-coming fighters, and they're building them, they're raising them, they're building their profile through the marketing machine. What MVP right now is doing is the GFL model. They're plucking talent that the UFC has raised up and built up, and then they're harvesting it like that peak value, or maybe just after post-peak value, but still getting all that peak value. That's why they're able to pay what they're able to pay. They didn't have to spend the money and make the investments to raise these guys up. You know, probably all sorts of different factors, but I guarantee you these guys are probably getting paid well. So is it a massive problem for the UFC? I think it's a thorn in the side, and I think it can make the UFC look bad when the salaries come out comparatively in contrast to what the UFC guys are getting. But what I'm hoping will happen is that will just simply be good motivation and good competition for the UFC to then raise prices accordingly. No, we pay our fighters better than MVP. I hope the UFC is able to do that and can do that. And then I think it's going to be a rising tide that raises all ships. That's what I'm hoping. John Dong says, what's up? John Dong, welcome back. You're a regular now. This is amazing. Thank you so much for joining. John, you scared me, bro. Why do you scare him? Don't be sneaking up like that. Oh, haha, very funny. Okay, Western. Huzaifa just remembered how old he is. 45, dog, almost 46. Mr. Clapper, I think Ronda steamrolls her for some reason. Well, there you go. And that's exactly what Justin's saying. I'm so freaking excited for Diaz coming back. Meat Rocket in the house. Meat Rocket's becoming a regular as well. I'm very excited as well. I like so much happier than if Nate Diaz did boxing or bare knuckle boxing. It's just not right. You know what I mean? Like, let's let these guys come back and fight MMA, the true best sport on the planet. This is a BMF fight. It kind of is. Oh, that'd be so funny if he made like a baddest MFer belt or something like that, just to tease the UFC. That'd be hilarious. Meat Rocket says, I think Carano steamroll. Really? Okay. Well, that's very interesting. I guess we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Anywho, So, Justin, I have a question for you. You have fought bare knuckle one time, but Mike Perry's been fighting for the last several years. My question to you as a fighter, fellow fighter, how do you think Mike Perry is going to look after this massive hiatus from mixed martial arts?
I mean, Nate Diaz is at a huge hiatus as well, and I don't think it's going to be a MMA fight. I think it's going to be a straight slugfest boxing match.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see. I can see Nate Diaz rocking Mike Perry with volume, and maybe Mike putting him up against the fence. But I don't think this is going to be a wrestling match. We're talking about arguably one of the most violent human beings in the whole world against Nate Diaz, who has the stock. He's going to be trying to slap Mike Perry with an open hand. You think Mike Perry's going to engage in wrestling when Nate Diaz slaps him in the face? You don't think he's going to do that? Of course he's going to do that. Like, these guys are going to want to hurt each other. This is man. I mean, I can see Mike knocking Nate out early, but the longer the fight goes, the better off. It's 5 rounds too, but just to let you know.
Yeah, it has to be. Come on. If 3 rounds, it's ridiculous. Do you think so? You think it's a low probability that, because I'm feeling like a Nate Diaz submission is coming. That's what I think. You don't think so?
So, I mean, maybe if he hurts him, maybe if you like the Conor McGregor fight, like you hit him with some hands and hurt him. I can't see Nate coming out and trying like his return fight against the most violent man in the world. Like he's going to try to wrestle and sub him. I just don't see it. I mean, like I said, if he hurts him and Mike tries to engage in some grappling, I can see him jumping a guillotine or maybe, going for a rear naked choke. But I mean, it's going to have to be a high percentage submission for him to go for it, I think.
Now, Mike Perry, I think he may have fought it. I can't even remember now if he's fought at welterweight. He probably has, but I think he's also fought at middleweight. I think he's going to be bigger. Do you see that playing being a major factor in this fight?
I mean, Nate Diaz is 6 feet tall. All right. So let's not, I mean, he might be bigger, stronger, but I think Nate's going to have the reach on him. Let me look. I still have my notes up so I can tell you exactly where Nate's at. Yeah. Nate's 6 feet tall with a 76-inch reach, so, and then you go to Mike Perry, who's, let's see, he's 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. So, Nate's going to have to, he's going to be, hiding behind his jab, looking for his jab 1-2 or his pull 1-2. Mike Perry's just going to be dipping and bobbing his head like Mike Tyson, trying to find a big overhand to a big hook. And both of these guys are going to bleed. So I don't think this is going to be a very technical fight. I think this is going to be a slugfest.
But it's going to be a heck of a fun slugfest. Meat Rocket says, do we know how much Nate Diaz is getting paid for this Netflix fight? I heard UFC offered Diaz. Oh, what? Wait, you did hear that the UFC actually offered Diaz something? I did not know that. I kind of have been thinking that they're not going to offer him anything. Well, this fight is taking place in Los Angeles and California, which means that the purses will have to be listed. So we will know eventually. Justin, you care to take a guess?
I have no clue. 3 million?
No. I'm thinking 15. I'm thinking 15 million.
I have no idea.
That's my guess. Dude, Nate Diaz is such a big star. I think granted they stiffed him, but he was supposed to get, I think, 10 million for that boxing match against Jorge Masvidal. And I think he got a decent payment from the Jake Paul boxing match, but I imagine the demand had to be so high. Dude, he had so much value to this Netflix card. I mean, I would be shocked if he's getting anywhere below 10 million, but I could be wrong. I guess we'll see. Mr. Clapper says definitely a slugfest. I just saw a video 2 weeks ago. Nate was, I think, at a dirty boxing event talking to Perry. Oh, no kidding. I mean, dude, this is wild, man. Look, I am a supporter of the UFC. Obviously, I'm also, I own TKO stock. So from that perspective, I am team UFC. But in the world, as a sports fan and a mixed martial arts fan and a combat sports fan, this is super, super exciting to have these guys come in the mix and actually be able to put on exciting events. Bellator, PFL, they're not doing anything like this. This has actually got me stoked. Like, I'm actually thinking about going to the event, and that that says a lot. That would never even cross my mind for any of these other promotions. So this is really, really cool. Welcome MVP and welcome Netflix to the party. This is super dope, and we'll see what happens, and we'll see how it continues to go. We have a follow-up topic on this later on, and this is topic number 6. We're going to come back to this, but this is the question that I am curious about is, where's Gable Steveson going to go? Because he hasn't said anything. Is he negotiating behind the scenes with the UFC? Is he going to all of a sudden appear on the White House card? Or do you think there's a chance that Netflix and MVP would pull some crazy move and try to get him to make a debut, not a debut, but like have a pro fight on this card? And like, would he even do that? Because that's kind of throwing down the gauntlet against the UFC. I don't know. We're going to talk about it later. I just thought it was food for thought. and we shall see. All right, a couple more comments, then we're going to move on to the next topic. Western says, I saw someone say the DC Athletic Commission isn't sanctioning the White House card and that the fights won't count on the fight. No, stop. There's no way. That can't be. That can't be, Western. Did you you got to send me the article. I'd be so shocked if that's true. AJ says, honestly, not looking forward to either of those fights. Which fights? AJ, which ones are you not looking forward to? Talking about Nate Diaz and Mike Perry? Meat Rocket says, Ariel Helwani said the UFC offered Diaz. Oh, they did offer Nate Diaz. Oh my God. So they were trying. I'm wrong, man. I stand corrected. I thought they didn't want anything to do with Nate after he lost to Jake Paul. Yo, they offered him eight figures. That's 10 million or above. So that means Netflix must have paid more. That's wild, dude. Or maybe he was. I don't know. Wow. That is wild. Okay, guys. Here we go. Let's move on to topic number 2. So this is a fun one, an interesting one. And I don't know if I believe it, but it actually seems credible potentially. Apparently, Mauricio Hufi has come out and said that Conor was offered to fight him. Isn't that actually kind of funny? Because now it's Chandler instead. But apparently, Conor was offered the opportunity to fight Mauricio Hufi on the White House card in the featured fight. Apparently, not the feature fight. It's the 4th fight, I think. Apparently, he turned it down, and hence that's why we have Mike Chandler. And my guess is, if this is true and if this was happening, who knows? Maybe it would have been co-main. Maybe they would have made it the featured fight. I don't know. I just want to ask you first, Justin. Do you believe this? Like, do you think that the UFC would actually offer Conor somebody like Hufi?
Why? I mean, they're sending him up to lose.
Yeah, that would be.
I just think he's done too much for the company. That they wouldn't set him up to lose like that. I mean, maybe they do. I mean, it's a business, so who knows? But I would like to think that they wouldn't.
My thought was, since he has 2 fights left on his contract, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, they just like anybody, they want to deflate him. They want him to lose. They want him to drain his star power. I think that his first fight, they would actually be excited to watch him win, especially for the White House card or whatever the next fight is, because it'll drum up a lot of excitement from the fan base. And then the last fight on his UFC contract, they're going to set him up against like Khamzat Chimaev. Not really, but something like that, where he'll just get absolutely steamrolled. But I thought they might set him up with a favorable matchup in this fight. But if it's true that they were setting up against Mauricio Hufi, then I'm wrong. And they are trying to just destroy him on his way out so that when he inevitably goes to BKFC or whatever it will be, he won't be as big of a star and as big of a draw. That's pretty crazy. But I was shocked to hear that. The funny thing is, though, that Mauricio Hufi is the one guy that has that Conor-esque style. Like, you look at the way he keeps his wide stance, the way he throws punches and strikes in general. Everybody always says, hey, he fights like Conor McGregor. So that would have been a very fascinating fight. And then how funny is it, too, that he's fighting, what's his name? Mike Chandler, who's just been obsessed with Conor for the longest time. Okay, Meat Rocket says, I mean, I don't know. That's what Helwani said per his source. They offered 8 figures, but who knows? Well, if Helwani said it's true, Helwani doesn't make stuff up and he doesn't get stuff wrong. So if he said it, I bet you. Oh, Tehran's not here, by the way, Western says. He has left us. Western says, no, that's also what Josh Thompson said about the Diaz offer, who's actually connected to the Diaz California team. That's crazy, man. They offered Nate 8 figures and he chose. Man, what's going on? How could they not? What, do you think MVP just outbid them?
Man, it's tough to say. Nate Diaz maybe had wanted to give the UFC a little fuck you back to him. I'm not really sure.
It's weird, though, because Nate's always spoken so highly of the UFC, and he always says he wants to come back to the UFC even after he left. So I don't know, man. That's wild. That's really disappointing. There was talking about this on Ariel's show this morning. They were saying John Jones, Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, Ronda Rousey, and Gina Carano, those 5 fighters, they all wanted to fight in the first half of the year for the UFC, and none of them are fighting for the UFC. Either they're iced out or they're taking a fight with MVP. Like, what is that? And look, man, I'm the consummate optimist when it comes to the UFC. I love 2025. I know a lot of people complained. I loved UFC 324. A lot of people complained, but now I'm even starting to get worried. Like, what do you think is going on? Do you think they're trying to take a stance here and not try to negotiate up too much? Or do you think that what do you think is the play that the UFC is doing?
I'm not really sure. I think it's too early to start making speculation on that. I think there's going to be more things to come out because as these deals keep falling through, some fighters are going to speak out and we're going to find out. So I don't want to speculate on it, man. Maybe they just didn't weren't offered enough money, weren't offered the right opportunity, maybe got burned on some opportunities they wanted from the UFC. So they're like, all right, fuck the UFC. You're always talking about, or you always talk about how good they talk about them, because again, they have to talk good about them no matter what. Just like I had to talk good about them too. You can't slander your boss. You're an independent contractor. It's like, it's a dictatorship. If you say something wrong about the company, they can cut you for no reason. There's guys that are on winning streaks that are getting cut because they don't negotiate well with the UFC. No matter what position you're in, whether you're Nate Diaz or Justin James, you have to talk good about the business.
Well, let's talk about that, because you actually mentioned that point last time in response to Colby Covington. And that brings us to topic number 3. Colby Covington apparently wants Bo Nickal at 170. Now, look, I get what you're saying. I understand not saying negative things about the company, but Colby was the most vocal guy about the UFC being the best promotion in the game, and they're amazing, and I'm always here to do good business, and the UFC knows how to do good business. He was going on and on. He was the biggest proponent of the UFC and all the stuff they had done for him. And then immediately on a dime, and I made a whole long video about this over the weekend, immediately on a dime, as soon as the UFC doesn't want to put Colby first, meaning they're giving him unfavorable matchups, he just flips on him and he turns. And that's the thing that I was pointing out. It's not that I get that other fighters, you have to be careful while you're under contract of what you say. And granted, it's also kind of a partnership, right? You don't want to be bad-mouthing this promotion that's your partner. That's just bad business in general. But that was, I think, my point about Colby is, okay, you can say that you got to be cordial with the company that's putting you on, but it's one thing to be the biggest proponent to all of a sudden now be the biggest hater. And it's just purely out of self-interest. So this brings me to my next point. So if you guys didn't get a chance to see the video that I made, the super long video about Colby Covington, and look, man, I've talked to Justin about this. Hopefully you see this on the channel. I'm really not trying to be that guy that's going after fighters and attacking people, but this is something I more look at me calling out. It's just a lot of lies. People are falling for what Colby's saying, and I just don't buy it for a second. He's jumping on the bandwagon right now of all the fighter unrest, of all the people upset, and now he's claiming that he's been mistreated by the UFC his entire career, and it's laughable. Because it's laughable, though, dude, because he got 2 title shots against Kamaru Usman. The second one was a lot of people were up in arms about. Then he got that crazy title shot against Leon Edwards. He got that great matchup against Tyron Woodley. It's a tough fight still. Tyron was still looking pretty good at that time. I actually thought Tyron was going to win, but he got that fight. He got the RDR fight to move him up. He got the Damian Maia fight. I mean, that's not an easy fight, I'm saying, but he was given favorable matchups throughout his career to push and promote him. And as soon as he hits the later stages of his career, and this is just how it goes, they want to use him to push Bo Nickal or other stars. Now he loses his mind. That's the part that I think is ridiculous. Like, I understand if you feel like you never got the right opportunities and things just haven't been going well. Dude, this guy has been getting all the opportunities for all the wrong reasons, and he's been getting paid, I think, probably really, really well. I just think right now, what appears to be the case, I'm not trying to say too much because I don't know the true story, but it appears as though he's run out of money or run out of funds, maybe some mismanagement. I have no idea. But now he's coming back and he's attacking the UFC because he wants to get more money. And by his own admission, he's got bills to pay. This is what he said, big bills. So anyways, here's what I want to play for you, though. Okay, I'm going a little bit off on a tangent, but the main thing is Colby Covington has been called out by Bo Nickal. They were trying to force Colby to take the fight against Bo Nickal on the White House. They said, if you want to fight at the White House, this is your only fight. This is your only option. Colby refused, and Bo Nickal talked about it. Now, Colby, obviously, as he does, claims that's a lie and said he was never offered Bo Nickal, this and that. And then Bo Nickal comes back. I think Bo Nickal's playing this perfectly. He said, okay, well, if you never offered, it's cool. I haven't signed the contract with Kyle Dawkins. Let's go to the UFC together. Let's talk to him together. We'll get you the offer. I want to fight you. Colby's staying silent. Finally, Colby has responded because, like, Bo kind of pushed him into a corner. And Justin, I want to get your take on this because to me, this is as good as it gets in terms of Colby.
All right, bozo.
No, it's so bad. Effectively admitting that he was offered the Bo Nickal fight and turned it down because now he's kind of saying, because for a long time he's like, I don't want that fight. Bo's a loser. He's terrible. He's a quitter, this and that. And now he's actually saying he wants it, but with a stipulation, as he likes to put on all these fight offers. Check this out.
I know you're a big fan of weight classes and refused to wrestle a 50-year-old man that was 6 pounds too heavy. And we all know someone of your moral superiority would never try to have a weight advantage in a fist fight. You won't stop talking about us being the same weight, which is honestly refreshing to hear because I'm 190 pounds right now and will weigh 170 without a problem on a full camp. So if we're the same weight like you claim, that means you're 190 pounds right now and full camp should get you down to 170 as well. I propose we do this in a weight class where one of us is ranked and there's actual stakes. So how about bring that stupid ginger bull cut down to 170 pounds, Lloyd Christmas, and I'll grant your wish to fight the biggest name in the welterweight division. We could do it this summer too if you want. But let's get one thing crystal clear. I'm not going to take away an opportunity from someone who, unlike you, has done things the hard way to earn a spot on a big card like Kyle Dawkins. He's 10 times the man and fighter you ever could be. You're just a competitor, bozo. You're not a fighter. You've had everything fed to you on a silver spoon. Nobody likes you because you're a spoiled brat dildo, and nobody respects you because you're a quitter. We all watched the real bozo come out on a stool against the Dutch grappler. Dawkins will bring that same quitter out of you on the White House lawn. Fact of the matter is, I don't need to fight you. You need to fight me because I violated you via truth bombs right to your face at the RAF press conference. You wouldn't be throwing a tantrum or saying my name if you weren't such a fragile, narcissistic crybaby. But everything I said was true, and nothing cuts deeper or stings worse than the truth. It's not my fault that you're too fragile to handle the truth, bozo. So quit acting like the world of this sport owes you anything, you spoiled little bitch. Tell your boy Tiki Epstein to call Hunter and ask nicely for King Colby at welterweight, and maybe I'll oblige. Maybe I won't. But that's the beauty of it, and that's the lesson you need to learn. You don't call the shots. Your boy Tiki Epstein doesn't call the shots. If this fight happens, it's because I call the shots, Junior.
Oh my God, it's so bad. All right, so I wonder who was holding the cue card, because it looked like he was reading right from a script. But anyways, okay, give me your take. Give me your take. Do you think this proves definitively that indeed he was, and he ducked it because he didn't? It was an unfavorable matchup, and so he's saying, okay, maybe he'll take it because he wants to drain Bo Nickal to 170, which he's never fought at 170. I mean, it's just yeah. Give me your take.
I mean, Bo Nickal just needs to ignore it. Just Colby's that kid. If you just stop acknowledging him, like, he'll go away eventually.
Like, what? It's just so crazy. I actually, in my video, and guys, I see all the comments. I'm gonna respond to them all in 1 second. Dude, it's just, I think that and Bo Nickal, even in an interview, was like, yeah, man, the UFC, they're totally icing me out. They're supposed to offer me 3 fights a year, and they haven't offered me anything. And not like I'm trying to get into a suing match or a pissing match with the UFC. I'm like, you're such a liar, dude. If they weren't offering you 3 fights a year, then they have to pay you your show money. That's in the contract. So it's not even a lawsuit. It's in the contract that they have to pay you. So I'm like, you're obviously lying. What they've been probably doing is they've been offering him matchups that he doesn't like, right? They've been offering him Bo Nickal. I bet you at one time they offered him, I wouldn't be surprised if they offered him Shavkat at one time and they offered him a Hamzat at another time, and he denied and ducked both of those. I think the reason why he took the Joaquin Buckley fight, it's because it's short notice. He's able to get a big payday, and he was probably like low on cash at that time. So he had to take a fight because he hadn't fought in a long time. That's what I think is going on. And he's just like making up all this stuff. But yeah, to me, this just shows me that 100% he was offered the fight and he didn't want to do it because it's an unfavorable matchup, but he's open to it. Probably not even still going to do it, but open to it if he can drain Bo down to 170. So to me, this is just like an absolute victory for Bo Nickal. I feel like Bo Nickal has beaten Colby Covington without even stepping into the cage. You agree?
Yeah, I agree 100%. 100%. Like, oh yeah, I'll do it once. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm a middleweight, so I'll stay at my weight class and just ignore this guy. Like, get this guy out of here.
Yeah, because like that's why I want to hear your thoughts. And I'm like, you would never, or you or nobody you even trained with would ever do something so ridiculous, right? Like that's
just it'd be like me going down to 135.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like if someone, if anybody challenged me at 135, I would like, what? I wouldn't even. Why even acknowledge it? Like, it's fucking stupid.
Fair enough. It's just insane. Okay, Mr. Clapper says Colby is once again lying. He doesn't want that fight, doesn't want to risk losing to him. I don't even think it's a risk. I think Bo Nickal smashes him. I think the one thing that Colby has an advantage over other people is the wrestling department, and Bo Nickal's 10 times the wrestler that Colby is. So yeah, exactly. Maybe Diaz went to MVP because he may get easier fights against other OGs, while the UFC always gives older dudes young I mean, I don't know, maybe, but it's not like Nate Diaz is not under contract with the UFC, so he doesn't have to settle for a bad matchup. He can take whatever matchup he wants. I assume if they offered him 8 figures, it was probably for Conor, right? Who else would it have been? It was probably the Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor trilogy that Justin's been dying for. And I guess the money at MVP maybe was bigger. So I don't know what's going on there. Western says Bozo. Dude, it's so lame. I think the Bozo Nichols is so dumb. John Dong says he's biting his nails. Bro, Colby is so corny. So corny. I don't even mind the corniness. It's just the lies. Like at some point, it's, you know what I mean? And he's just trashing all these fighters, going so personal, so deep. And then on top, and then he won't fight them. And then he lies about, like, I just, dude, it's infuriating to me. I just don't like liars. I'm sorry. That's really what it comes down to. Dude's a clown. Andrew Nance says, let's effing go. Western enjoyed it. I hate Colby, but he has a point. Bo should have bailed on that grappling match. I mean, Bo Nickal explained. I don't know, Justin. What do you think? Bo Nickal didn't want to fight Yoel Romero because Yoel Romero missed weight by like 6 or 7 pounds. I mean, I don't know. I didn't think it was. I don't know wrestling. Compare. You know what I mean? I didn't think it was the worst thing in the world to not take that fight. What did you? And also, he also said that Yoel Romero tried to cheat the scales. He actually had a foot on the ground, and Bo Nickal caught him. He's like, dude, what are you doing? You've clearly got 1 foot on the ground. And then he put it up, and then he was like 6 pounds over. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one to turn down a match for any reason, especially 6 pounds. But
okay. I mean,
my opponent in my UFC debut missed weight by 6 pounds. Exactly.
Oh, wow.
And I messaged him when my manager said, hey, your opponent's overweight. Like, I panicked that he was going to continue to cut weight and, you know, the doctors were going to step in and like scrap the fight. So I messaged him on my Instagram. I'm like, hey man, I don't care that you're 6 pounds overweight. Like, I'm taking the fight regardless. Like, just stop cutting weight. Let's go to the weigh-ins and get this done. Got
you. Okay, but that's why I want to hear your perspective. I don't think I'm in the position to really analyze one way or the other.
It was like 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there might be some weight to it, but
okay.
5-6 pounds. I don't think it matters.
Fair enough. Meet Rocket says Andrew Nance. Western says, Nance, you're late. 10-second timeout for you. Yeah, that's right. Enforce with the iron fist. Andrew Nance says, give me a 10-minute timeout. Come on, homie. Let's see what else we got here. How long are timeouts? 10 seconds. Nance. Blah, blah. Okay, we're talking about timeouts. All right. Anyways, so that's wild. We got the Colby Bo Nickal beef heating up, but not really, because I think it's not going to go anywhere because Colby's refusing to fight him. But speaking of Colby Covington, he is going to be appearing at the next RAF event. Justin, I just want to go through this next card because, like, RAF, dude, I'm not even a wrestling fan, and you are. Like, you're huge into wrestling. You're a college wrestler. But, I mean, it's just wild what these guys are doing and the matchups they're making. So let me just show you what's going on. Dude, I cannot wait for this. This is, like, less than 2 weeks away. Wait, hold on a second. 2 weeks from, 2 weeks, a week and a half, a week from this coming Saturday, we've got RAF 7. Justin, let me show this to you and let me see what you think. So first of all, we've got the rematch at the headliner, Arman Tsarukyan versus Giorgio Poulas, where they had that massive brawl. Like, this is crazy, dude. There's probably a pretty high chance that there's going to be a brawl again, and they're going to have crazy security. That's insane. And then hold on, let me see if we can see the rest of the card. Okay. And then the next down, Colby Covington against Dillon Danis. What matchmaking? Like, I think you don't like it?
I mean, it's just giving, I don't know. These guys are idiots, especially Dillon Danis. And, you know, it's like, I don't know. I don't agree with his antics. I think he's ridiculous and he's getting a payday and I just hate it. I wish he would just like crawl into a tunnel and die.
Well, he is ridiculous, but I don't know, man. There's something about Dillon Danis. I can't explain it. I feel even ashamed to say it, but I want to see it. Like, he's been out of the spot. Dude, the last time we saw him in the spotlight, he got beat up by all those Dagestanis at the UFC event.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
So now he's going to come back, and I think Colby's going to obviously absolutely destroy him. Danis isn't a wrestler. Like, that part's going to be ridiculous. Now, the other thing that would have made this dope is if they would have talked a lot of trash at the presser. But unfortunately, Colby is taking the high road. He's like not the high road, I should say. He's being really complimentary of Dillon, and I think it's because he doesn't want to go down that road with Dillon, because I think Dillon would destroy him in the trash talk department. So I wish they were at odds, but they're not. The rest of these guys, I don't really know, but those two, the co-main and the main, is sick. Do you know any of these guys?
Yeah, Wyatt Henderson beat Gable Steveson. Bo Bassett's like the best high school wrestler in the history of this ever.
I've heard of Bo Bassett.
Go up a little higher, go up higher. You look at Kyle Schneider. I don't know if he's a national champion, but very well-known wrestler. You have Kyle Dake up on the left. He's world famous USA wrestler. I don't know either of the guys they're going against, but yeah, there's a bunch of names on the card that I recognize.
I guess what they're doing is they're stacking it with the MMA names to bring people like me in, and then the rest of these are like, Yeah, you know the world of wrestling way better than me. So this is going to be a really, really cool event for obviously wrestling aficionados like you, and then also MMA fans and general combat sports fans. And then look what they got coming up next. Look at this. They got a nice website, actually. Look at this coming up next, April 18th. We got your boy Marab taking on Henry Cejudo. That's pretty baller. And then I think the rest of this isn't. I do you know who these guys are? Jordan Oliver and Mike Van Brill.
I don't.
Okay. RAF, dog, it's coming up big right now, and people like Arman Tsarukyan, people like Colby Covington, they're in there getting paydays while they're not able to fight for the UFC. So I think it's really, really cool. And then on top of that, Arman might be grappling Dillon Danis at a Hype FC event. So far, it has not been signed, but that will be so sick if they can do that, because then we can actually see Dillon Danis grapple, and actually trying for a submission, which I think will be way more interesting. Okay, we got a bunch more comments, guys. Well, I'm going to read them right now. Western, okay, more timeout comments. Here we go. Andrew says, Meaty, we're not in weighing in. We don't have our wrench. Wait, you guys are the weighing in pot? Wait, I'm confused. Y'all be wrenching for weighing in? That's sick. Oh, yeah. Are you guys mods for the weighing in pod? That's lit if you are. Oh, Andrew is. Dude, I love weighing in. Shout out to Josh Thompson. And I love the new guy, Angelo, with that bad takes. I listen to them all the time. Me Rocket says, what happened to the almighty wrench? It's like some blue cube now. Okay, I don't know what's being discussed here. Okay, anyways, we'll get back to the show. That's topic number 4. Now, topic number 5, finally, we're into some relevant UFC fights over the weekend. We had a crazy one. I don't know if you saw this, Justin, but it was a pretty short fight. Kevin Vallejos goes in there and destroys Josh Emmett. And I'm really curious to hear your take, because everybody's going crazy over Kevin Vallejos. And I thought he looked great. I thought his boxing looked good. I love the low leg kicks, the calf kicks that he was landing. Josh Emmett was dancing around the cage. It was a little bit weird. I felt like he was wasting a lot of energy in that first round with a lot of excessive movement. Maybe that's how he always fights. I'm not like the biggest expert on Josh Emmett's fighting style, but he was like picking his moments, and he was coming in and just trying to throw massive bombs, missing, and then Vallejos was just countering so precisely. Eventually got him up against the fence and was just like laid on a crazy barrage of strikes. Really pinpoint, beautiful boxing. People are calling him like the next Topuria or something like that. But I'm curious to know your thoughts, because I'm not sure that Josh Emmett looked so hot to me. Like, he looked like a little, maybe aging has taken effect. He looked a little bit slower. He looked like Vallejos had the accuracy and the speed advantage massively. So I'd love to know your thoughts. What did you think about Vallejos' performance?
Well, I've never heard of this kid before. I saw the finishing sequence on Instagram. But Josh Emmett's an old dog, man. He's been in a lot of wars. He has a lot of miles on his body. When you have this up-and-coming superstar with that kind of crisp boxing and making him not just hitting Josh Emmett, but making him miss, then hit him. It's just those unseen shots that when you're out of position getting hit by just hurts so much more. And Josh Emmett's, he still has the power. He still has that knockout power. But with age and miles, like, you can see he's slowing down.
Yeah, I'd love to see if you eventually see the first round. I'd love to get your thoughts, because it was just like so much movement. I know I'm drawing on my very limited experience of like my sparring, and I know I'm not anywhere near the level of these guys, but my coach always tells me, and I'm sure styles can vary, but all that dancing and all that movement, you're just tiring yourself out. And I didn't really even see it paying many dividends because the speed advantage wasn't there. Now, like I said, I'd love to get your thoughts, but it seemed like not the most intelligent strategy, because Vallejos was just standing there. He was just hanging out while he come in. All right, come in, and then boom, duck, dodge, whatever, weave, and then pop, counter. Amazing. It like kept happening over and over. And it wasn't just straight boxing. It was good kicks as well. So I thought he did a great job. And then did you see the clip of him getting the fight of the night bonus and going crazy?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was unexpected. He got the bonus, and then he started like going bananas and jumping up and down. It was a really fun moment. All right, we got a few more comments, and then we're going to go to topic number 6. John Dong says, doesn't Emmett train with Dillashaw now? I think that's why he was moving like that. Oh, I don't know. Maybe. So maybe Dillashaw got him moving in that way. I hate how UFC always throws the older ranked dudes to the wolves. Couldn't they give Emmett some older dudes close to age instead of some new process? I mean, you're right. I'm not – look, it's kind of sad, but it's just how it goes, man. And that's how they keep the train moving. You have a well-known guy fight somebody who's not so well known, and then they kind of steal that energy, they steal that aura, right? I mean, I think that's what you have to do in order to build a fight promotion, build a fight promotion, and build up fighters. That's
100%.
my, yeah. I think it's just has to be how it's got to go. Western says Emmett in it for the money at this point,
for sure.
Yeah, he did look his age, and again, I'd have to go back and, like, for example, I want to see the Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell fight again. That was a few years ago, and maybe you can see a noticeable difference. I haven't rewatched that fight in a while, but that's what it looked like to me. I think the only reason Emmett lost was because he shaved his big beard. 100%. That's absolutely right, actually, in retrospect. AJF says the card was really good, though. Sousa and Aki was a good fight, and I'm excited to see how Elijah Smith's career progresses as well. Andrew Nett says if they were paid properly, they wouldn't have to fight when they were 41. And Andrew, let me ask, this has become a bigger and bigger debate and hot topic as of late, but like, what do you think is the appropriate amount? Because, and I'm not saying I disagree with you, but that's the question that I'm curious to know. Everybody says they need to be paid more. Justin was in there. Justin fought in the UFC. And you said you were happy at the time compared to like the regional scene and what you were making there. It's a big time. We know Fusion, different organizations, like the UFC is a big step up, even at 10-10. Like that's a big difference. That's more than these regional promotions are paying for these up and comers that aren't known. So the question is, if they were paid properly, what is that? Are you saying it should be up by 10x? Can you give me some numbers and some concrete data? Because I think that's what's missing. And that's what makes me a little bit like, people are saying it, but like, do people really know what's the right number? Now, who's gonna know eventually is gonna be Eddie Hearn. That's why I'm very excited to see Eddie Hearn get in there once he really digs through the numbers with Tom Aspinall and to see his take, because he knows how to build he has a promotion. He knows the costs. He knows the partnership deals that they're getting. He knows how all the different pieces that make the pot what it is. He can say most accurately from the vantage point of what he's done, what it should be, what the salary should be. So I'm very curious to see if he comes out and says, this is exactly how I would change it and how it needs to be changed. The other thing I want to know too, Justin, where do you think if truly if it's as disproportionate as they say, right? My question is that money going towards uses within the company? Like, is it slightly inflating like salaries across the board? Is it going towards marketing expenses? Is it going towards like the PI or big events like the White House card? Or is it truly just going to the executive team? Are all the executive salaries like 2 or 3 times higher than what they should? That's the question that I want to know. And it is a public company. We should be able to figure this stuff out, but nobody's really broken it down. That's what I'm waiting for. Anyways, it is what it is. Western says Emmett should fight Mr. Jim Steal Your Girl, a 10 effing Miller. Oh, interesting. Jim Miller. That could be cool. Look at what boxers are making. I rest my case. Yeah, but Andrew, you can't just say that in isolation, because also you're talking about the headliners of boxers. You're not talking about the guys on the undercard, because a lot of people are complaining about the 10-10 or 12-12. And the other thing you have to consider is in boxing, these are guys having like 40, 50, 60 fights, building their name up slowly. And these guys, it's different with the UFC. I'm not trying to say like the UFC is totally in the right here, but it's different with the UFC. The UFC is building these guys from the ground up, putting marketing behind them, spending money to build their names up. So it's a long-term investment. Whereas with boxers, a lot of times they'll come to a promotion and they'll say, we want to put on this fight. Their name is already this big. They already know what they're going to bring to the promotion. So you don't have the investment there. I'm just saying it's more complicated, I think, than what people want to accept. You can't just do a cross comparison because it's a different business model. That being said, I am very eager to see somebody who does a deep dive analysis into the business model and into the structure of the company. And then if they come out and say they're grossly underpaid and here's why, then I'm going to be all open ears. So that's what I'm waiting for. Nance, that's a horrible take. I'm going to have Western time you out. Yeah, here we go. And then how long is the timeout? Yeah, we are just seeing what boxers make. Yeah, exactly. So it's a more complex situation than just looking at like Floyd Mayweather's making this or whatever, you know what I mean? And that's what I think we should bear in mind. All right, let's talk about Gable Steveson. Let's talk about our favorite MMA fighter. And I wanted to get your take in particular, Justin, because you fought at the highest level. You fought in the UFC. You trained at Extreme Couture. I want to know, am I crazy for even thinking this? Because we thought Gable was going to make his debut on the White House card. That has not happened. Gable's tight with John Jones. I don't know if John is telling Gable not to sign with the UFC now because of all the problems he's been having. I mean, I could be totally wrong here. And ultimately, yes, MVP is getting into the game and they're doing interesting things. But is that even a spot where a fighter like Gable, who's so green in his career, could go and actually reliably build his name and build his career and build his star power? So these are the questions I'm having. I want to ask you, do you think, we haven't heard anything from Gable Steveson about signing with the UFC? Is there a chance that he's going to pop up on this Netflix card and maybe not even go the UFC route since he's already got a big name in wrestling? Like, what do you think?
I'll be honest, I don't think so. And I don't think there's a chance of it. Now, I mean, if I'm proven wrong later down the road, it is what it is. But the reason I don't think a chance of it is UFC is a household name. UFC is the biggest name in the world. They're a tried and true company that have persevered through the ups and downs. We've seen multiple companies come on the scene and say they're going to pay their fighters better and say they're going to do this and say they're going to do that and they're going to take care of everybody, health insurance, blah, blah, blah. Jake Paul, has been a big advocate for health insurance and so on and so forth. And all these companies have tried and they failed. Now, although Netflix is a different beast, they already have that subscription following. Yeah, maybe that's the difference maker, but maybe not. You know what I mean? It's not a tried and true formula yet. Yes, on paper, it looks great. But is this going to be a successful business model? Maybe. Let's even say if it's 75%. All right, 75%. Which I think is way too high. The UFC is 100%. They're tried and true. They know what to do in all situations. The UFC is not going to do one show or 3 shows a year. They're going to be doing shows every weekend. Right. He's going to have more opportunity to fight. If the UFC is going to compete with MVP, they're probably going to raise they might start getting bidding wars with guys like Gable Steveson, which in turn is going to be better for Gable to go the tried and true route anyways. Does that make sense?
100%. And this is what I'm praying for. That, like, I would be so disappointed if the UFC is offering Gable 12-12, let's say, like a traditional contract, and then MVP says, well, we'll pay you $1 million to come fight here because you got a big name, and the UFC is like, no way we're even going to come close to matching that. That's ridiculous. And then they lose Gable Steveson. I would be, after what happened with the John Jones situation, I'd be so disappointed if that happened. So what I'm praying is that you're right. This is just good competition. It's actually going to force the UFC's hand to pay a little bit more, especially for somebody like this, where it's worth it. Gable Steveson, you could throw him on a fight night and he would sell the place. I mean, he would put him on any card, just at the main fight on the bottom card, the bottom fight of the main event. And I will be 1,000 times more likely to watch it. I can't even, it'd be so exciting. I might even go. If it wasn't nearby, I would probably go and buy tickets because that's how exciting Gable Steveson is. That's what I'm hoping. I'm just praying they don't start saying, oh, no, we're the best and you got to play by our rules. Otherwise you can go wherever. And we just don't care. That's what I'm hoping. So, okay, Justin, you feel Gable Steveson still coming to the UFC. Let's hope, let's pray, because that's where ultimately still right now the best of the best fight. And that's where you got to build a guy. You can't, it's going to be very unlikely that Netflix is going to try and get into the game and build fighters and have a real organization like that, where it's a league where they're coming up and building their name there. But I think what they will do is they're going to capitalize on the star power of the fighters that have gone through the ranks of the UFC and are now retired. So a couple more comments, guys, and then we're going to get to the last topic here. Conor Ben is worth every penny of that $15 million. He's a real fighter. I don't know anything about Conor Ben. And I mean, I don't know anything about boxing really, so I have no idea if that's true or not, but I guess we shall see. I think the consensus seems to be that they overpaid for Conor Ben, but intentionally so, that it was a strategic play to go against Matchroom Boxing. But that's what other people that know way more than me are saying, so who knows? Crappy fights, crappy pay. What are you talking about? You talk about UFC? You're just not even into the fights anymore? AFJ depends what he wants. If he wants a bag, he signs with Netflix. But the problem is if he fights in Netflix and then wants to, like, I wonder if the UFC would ever take him back after that, because that's kind of, you're going with the competitor at a very sensitive time. So I wouldn't be shocked if the UFC says, all right, we want to go with them. You're never fighting in the UFC. I don't know if that would happen, but that's why I think that ultimately for long-term money and long-term success and fame, he needs to come to the UFC.
I agree.
Like, yeah, unless they're really planning something big and really planning to get a league going. I think the UFC guys should make more money. They don't just use hands and yeah, but Meat Rocky, you can't just use that argument, because then we could say the same thing about regional promotions in MMA. Hey, they're using all their tools, so they should get paid millions of dollars. They don't have the money. They don't. The regional promotions don't have the money to pay even more than $10,000 a fight, and $10,000 for a main event would be a lot for these regional promotions. Now, obviously, that's not the situation of the UFC, but my point is you can't just say, oh, it's so difficult. It's more difficult than boxing and it's more real than they should make. Like that logic just doesn't hold water, unfortunately. He's going to the UFC, no doubt. But I could see Jones talking bad about the UFC, though. Yeah. You know, what if they did some sort of like a deal together? Like that'd be hey man, I don't know if that would happen. But hey man, you want Gable, you gotta bring me back. You gotta play ball. That'd be crazy if they did a dual negotiation. Who knows, man? Nah, I doubt it though. Me Rocket says, what if Gable's in talks with the UFC, but they lowballed him? Yeah, this is what we're worried about. That's what we're worried about, but hopefully that's not going to be the case. I think at this point, the UFC's got so much heat on them that they can't screw around right now. And they gotta get these big name guys in here. AFJ says, Western, I was thinking the same thing, and Ngannou versus Steveson would be a great. Oh, that's insane. That it never even crossed my mind. What do you think about that?
Awesome. That sounds awesome.
Oh my God. I actually think Gable wins.
He could get knocked out too.
Ngannou could get knocked out.
Yeah.
Imagine fake the double leg, come across over the top, boom. Dude, that's sick. That's sick. That's why has nobody talked about this as a possible matchup? That's unbelievable. Okay. Western, heck yeah. Francis versus Gable would be sick, but there's no way a 3-0. I don't know, man. I mean, the wrestling, the discrepancy in wrestling is massive. You're probably right. He probably is not ready. But I don't know. He's got such an advantage. That could be very interesting. It wouldn't. They would let him fight. It's all about the money. What if they offer, man, dang it. That's got me so excited. Yeah, Western says we need that fight. I know. That never even occurred to me until now. Anyways, all right, guys. Last topic. Arman Tsarukyan versus Dillon Danis at Hype FC. So I'm going to find the article and I'm going to show it to you. And I want to get your thoughts and see what you think here, Arman. So apparently the owner of Hype FC said that this fight was 100% happening. And then Arman Tsarukyan's manager later came out and says, no, this is fake news. This is not happening. Hold on one second. Why is this not working? He said it's fake news. It's not happening. And then, so I'm still waiting to see if this is legit. But here's what it is. Arman Tsarukyan versus Dillon Danis confirmed as Hype FC boss reveals date and venue. So they called cap on this apparently. But it says number 2 ranked lightweight will be getting snubbed in his own promotion. However, outside of it, the Armenian continues to make headlines for big fights and blah, blah, blah. And then now he's called up by Charles Oliveira and Dillon Danis for a fight. Whether the potential fight materializes will ultimately be up to the UFC, but Dillon Danis, who has long campaigned to be signed with the UFC, wasted no time accepting the challenge. Now it appears Hype FC has also given the matchup the green light. So I think we'll see. Yes, Arman will be in Sao Paulo on April 8th. And he said, and his opponent, it will be Dillon Danis. The odds of it happening are 99.9%. So this is pretty crazy. Number 1, do you think this is going to happen? And number 2, how do you think Dillon Danis can do against Arman Tsarukyan in a grappling match?
I think it's going to go exactly how everyone thinks it's going to go. He's going to get smashed.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Arman's so big and strong. And Dillon Danis, even if he's a world-class grappler, he's not going to be Arman Tsarukyan.
I believe Dillon fights at 170. Arman fights at 155. So I think Dillon's going to be just as big, if not bigger, though, no?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, look at Arman Tsarukyan. Look at the way he's built. You know what I'm saying? Like, that guy's not a small guy. He cuts a lot of weight to make 155. So imagine him just coming in healthy, eating good, training good, not having to cut weight. I mean, he might even come in better than at 155.
It's just such a great matchup because, and I know you guys might think I'm an idiot for even falling for this, but Dillon always talks about how he thinks he's the best in the world. Just give me a chance to prove it. I could beat any of these guys in the UFC. And I know a lot of it's cap, but this is so perfect because we can, if he gets smashed, if he gets manhandled by Arman Tsarukyan, then we can easily dismiss all of that. Cause he always says he's doing boxing matches. Yeah. But let's go to a real fight. Let's do MMA. And I would murder you. It'd be a murder charge. Well, now we can have a chance to have him actually go against somebody at where he claims to be the best. And if Arman just makes it look easy, like that's really interesting to me. It's fascinating. Plus, I think the smack talk would be amazing too. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Arman, he's grown on me as some of his smack talk. I think it's very underestimated. It's very dry, but it's very funny.
It's very funny, dude. Arman is the new superstar in the lightweight division. I like Arman way better than Ilia Topuria, better than anybody. So I just can't wait. And Arman Tsarukyan will be coming up and will be fighting for the title, hopefully in September, October. He will be facing the winner of Justin Gaethje versus Ilia Topuria. That's happening on the White House main event. So we can very much look forward. That's going to be even a bigger fight than Ilia versus Gaethje. Dude, Ilia versus Arman is going to be huge. So we have a lot of exciting things on the horizon for all the negativity that's going on right now about the UFC. And I'm even feeling a little bit of it too myself. Don't get me wrong, but we got some cool stuff on the horizon. Hopefully this Conor McGregor fight is going to be announced soon. And even outside of the world of the UFC, we got some cool stuff. So that's all we got for you guys today. Let me just read a couple more comments, and then we're going to close out. Western manifested it, says me, Rocket. Western says, yes, we must manifest this. Mr. Clapper says, crazy fight right there. Yeah, Arman versus Ilia, I believe you're talking about. Or are you talking about Arman versus Dillon? Western says, I'm a tree climber from Western. I heard Arman fights the winner. Yeah, 100%. It's happening. Arman was told by the UFC it's happening. He's next, so it's going to be incredible. I do bush work, says Meat Rocket. Very cool. I love bush. So do we. I put my trees in and bushes. Yeah, 100% all day. You love George Bush. Okay, we're losing the plot here. All right, well, that's all we got for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining. This was a blast, as always. Thank you for the growing support. Thank you for everybody who stuck with us from the get-go. Western, you know we're talking to you. Tehran, where are you, dog? But you know we're talking to you as well. Andrew Nance has been around for a bit now. Meat Rocket. All you guys, Mr. Clapper, showing us love. AJ, F7979. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining. Oh, by the way, we're doing a Wednesday show. Guys, we're doing it. We're doing Wednesday at 1:30 p.m., but it's just going to be chat. So there's going to be no topics. We're just going to sit here and live stream and hang out and answer your questions. So join us Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. PST. We'll give it a shot. If you guys like it, we'll keep it up. If not, no worries. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll see you in the next episode. Take it easy.